Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Philippa Burgess, and today I just want to run through what I learned as a pro-Ukraine creator after 4 months on TikTok. So to be clear, I'm still on TikTok. I'm still supporting Ukraine over there. I'm just 4 months in, and I'm brand new to the YouTube channel as a creator. So I wanted to come on here today to just introduce myself, and as I report on Ukraine and share Ukraine related stories, I just want to give a little context and background, why I think it's so important, why I'm doing this, and kind of the time I have into it as far as the research I do, the types of stories I cover, the angles that I think are important and need a little bit more context. And so as I start to put content on this channel, I thought it would be important to introduce myself and to just take a moment here to share some of what I've learned as I begin to tell longer, deeper stories on the YouTube platform, and invite you to be part of this community and be part of the stories that I share. I'm really, with everybody else, I think we all sort of have some of the same takeaways. We have definitely seen inspiring Ukrainians and continue to. As an American, I really didn't know that much about the culture and their situation, and just so many things. I grew up in the Cold War. I grew up with a Soviet Union and an Iron Curtain. I wasn't really paying much attention, after Putin took control, to where the country had evolved into sort of this kleptocracy that we have now, and just seeing kind of the impact of sanctions and just there's obviously 1,000-year history of these neighbors, and the consciousness of Ukraine being separate, but Ukraine also being part of the sort of this imperial reach. And now that Ukraine has sort of shifted its alliances and wanting to be part of Europe and be part of the West, and the threat that that poses to Russia and Russian imperialism, there's many important reasons why the West needs to stand strong. So I have seen a very supportive West, and in that, just a really engaged community that I value. And I look forward to building community here. Obviously, I will be covering a few different topics, but if you are exclusively interested in this type of coverage, just check out the playlists that I have dedicated to it, and you can go straight to those videos. I have been working at finding and reporting on stories that I find to be of interest that I don't necessarily see other creators covering or other news outlets. So some of what I'm saying may cover kind of news of the day topics, but I do aim to perhaps dig a little deeper, give a little historical context. And I do tend to read a lot of Russian news, international news, and am very interested in context. And those are the things that you can expect from the videos and the reports that I do related to Ukraine. I have encountered Russian trolls. Oh, so many Russian trolls. Ura is a big giveaway that I've got a Russian troll. And I've gotten very comfortable with block. And I don't really give my community even time to engage with them, though I know that they're right there ready to support me. I would rather not have that conversation on my thread. So I'm pretty diligent at making sure that I really don't allow conversations that are not aligned with the point of view that I have, which is a very pro-Western, pro-Ukrainian point of view. If comments are respectful, they can stay. But if they come from any part that is aggressive or disrespectful, it is an immediate block. With that, I found that TikTok has an enforcement bias. I am definitely seeing that there's more pro-Russian content that gets away with things that many Ukrainian content creators have gotten community guideline strikes for. I definitely see a bias. And I think part of the way the bias is, as we talk about algorithms, and some of the other things I'll be talking about on this channel have to do with data science And I think that the algorithm may not be a universal algorithm. It may be coded differently in different countries, but I also think the human enforcement is done in different countries. And I can feel strongly that whoever's doing the human enforcement on Russia allows Russian creators to get away with a lot more than anybody in Ukraine or the United States, or specifically the United States. So I feel like all algorithms and enforcement are not created equal. I do understand there are community guidelines here on YouTube. I aim to respect them. But also, if I see something that I just don't think is fair, I will comment on it and call it out for what it is. And I say this because I have reported many videos that had things that I would have gotten, or any of the other creators gotten a community guidelines violation for. And when I submit them from Russian creators, it comes back with no violation. And so oftentimes I'll duet or I'll share those posts because I'm like, I would have gotten in trouble for this, but apparently this is fine. So, but the most important reason why I feel it's important to report on it is that there's a need for sustained attention. And I think this is just incredibly important because any of the pain that we feel in America, some of it is our own internal challenges. We have a huge amount of inequities in our country. Housing prices have gone up, but wages have not. Many people in our country struggle with all sorts of financial challenges, and many related to, I'll share my own stories of health insurance and healthcare. Education's expensive. America's got its own problems. And as someone who is completing a master's in urban and regional planning, we look at those problems. So I'm happy to talk about them and happy to understand how we, as a democracy, and it can have citizen who has the right for freedom of speech and protest, but also discussion and also a participatory democracy. So I think it's important that if we're seeing problems, we're discussing what they are, where they came from, and how to solve them in bipartisan ways. And I say this because part of Russia's agenda is that the Western countries, whether it's Europe, whether it's the United States or Canada, start to feel so much economic blowback and so much pain in their own countries that they lose their momentum, they lose their support. And he just wins by a war of attrition where everybody else is kind of packed up and gone home. And the Ukrainians need us. The way that this war is going to end is when Russia is the one who packs it in and goes home. The Ukrainians cannot win this war. The only thing they can do is not lose this war. And that's what sanctions are there for. And that's why I think it's really important to cover sanctions and the impact of sanctions and the impact on global trade and on the global economy, and how all of this is very much interconnected. And that we as a culture, as a country, and as a West, continue to have sustained attention to this, despite certain pains we may feel at home, and then figure out how we can best collectively address them, because this is not isolated and so removed from us. Russia and the United States are 2.4 miles apart in Alaska, where Alaska meets Russia. We're not that far. We look at it on a map, and it looks like it's on the other side of the world. When you're on the West Coast, you're not that far from Russia. And as far as mindset and values, we are very closely aligned with Europe and the European continent. And Ukraine is a gateway country. If Russia rolls over Ukraine, they're not going to stop. They've already threatened, and their whole mindset, and we'll get into some of the history of it, has this imperial domination and this superiority and this arrogance and this entitlement that they'll keep going. They'll keep going into Moldova, Hungary, Czech, Slovakia, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania. Poland, they're not prepared to stop. So it is really, really important that we can get this conflict to a place where Russia yields. And that is not going to be for the faint of heart. So we have work to do, and that is why I report on it. And I hope to bring you news stories that are both timely and interesting, but also have additional context or perspective in historical context, future context, or just perspectives from other parts of the world that you may not necessarily hear in regular US news broadcasts. I also want to spotlight and highlight the content creators who I follow, who have been incredibly inspiring for me, and just, again, enormous respect for all the people in Ukraine or have family and relatives there. It is an unprecedented, just painful time, and I'm here in solidarity. I stand with Ukraine, and Slava Ukraine, Heroyam Slava. I'm learning Cyrillic. I'm getting, small pieces of it ever so slowly, but I'm starting to pick it up. It's starting to get more comfortable for me. So I will also share with you things that I'm learning about the language and the culture and history. And I think there's a lot there that we can unpack together for our, and to be informative, to be entertaining, and with the most value in just making sure that we keep telling these stories, making sure that we keep the attention on it, and that we keep supporting, and that we do not flag in our efforts, and understanding why we're doing it and what is actually at stake. I thank you, and I look forward to seeing you for more videos. If you like this, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's a brand new channel, and I'm excited to regularly be creating and sharing content as I am committing to the path of being a content creator. And I've officially now sort of set up on YouTube. So this is a new content home for me, where I look to build a community and share the things that I learn and find and think will be of value.